sometimes you just need to find a quiet spot somewhere where you can be alone and light a candle. Just be with yourself and your thoughts and your magical interests. Today I was influenced by Taylor Elwood on a Substack he did recently about turning emotions that sometimes kick your butt into egregores that can become partners in helping you to be better, happier, healthier, or whatever. Basically turn them to be an advantage for you instead of a hindrance by making them magical entities that you connect with. I am not saying it all well. I just heard like half of it while driving. I need to listen to it again and maybe read it, actually physically read it with my eyeballs, see how that goes, to understand exactly what he was talking about. Because even though I had a vague sense of what he was talking about and it sounded very intriguing, I still can't say that I truly get it. And egregores are somewhat confusing, but I have to say that when I first tried to do some work with such things, I do believe the Taylor Elwood book was one of my favorites for making it clear, so I need to find that book and reread it. So anyhow, I do think he has a good grasp of the whole egregore tulpa servitor experience, and I've done a little bit of that work, not consistently, but when I did it very intensely for a while. So I definitely have my recollections of it working to a certain degree, but it required more maybe energy than I was willing to give it, and then eventually it goes away, as things like that do. But I never really did anything with an emotion, right? Or the element, right? The egregore of fire, or there's so many ideas boggling. Actually, I'm getting confused and overwhelmed, and then I can't do anything. So when you get into a space like that, that's when you're like, okay, it's fine. So you can't do anything. You don't need to. Just chill out, light a candle, find someplace pretty, someplace nice in your home where you can just chill out and relax. Be okay with how everything is, and don't jinx yourself by thinking, why am I so happy? I don't know, this is very uncomfortable. I'm not supposed to be this comfortable, healthy, prosperous, and happy. What's going on? I better not mention it or I'll jinx it, right? Actually, it just came up a couple times today in things going on around me. I think Star Trek had something to do with it. Anyhow, I'm losing my train of thought, but I still love this spot where I can just think and relax and let it be and not try and control it and not try to make it a certain way, or not think, oh, well, that wasn't as good as it should have been, or perhaps it was too good. Wherever my brain goes, right? I wasn't like worried about that stuff because I'm just too fucking happy. So whatever's going on, I like it. I'm going to keep doing magic. I'm going to keep, once I started down this slippery slope, which is the occult and magic and witchcraft and all those things, it's really kind of hard to set it aside if you got anything out of it at any point. And I have many times, and I continue to expect that I will down the road. So it's just not something I'm willing to give up. I'd have to have a good reason to at least pretend to give it up. I don't think I ever actually would give it up, but I might not talk about it anymore if things got a certain way, just to be on the smart side. But that's neither here nor there. And I love that expression. But I do want to say that I'm very proud of myself because I watched some videos instead of just being helpless, and I deleted a lot of storage space on my iPhone, and I'm able to make this video as long as it is, whereas before I could go like 1 second and it'd be like storage full. So this is good. That's part of my just, you know, part of why I'm happy right now. Yes, I can't get the book done. Yes, it's been a few days, but it wasn't like I was getting anywhere. So maybe a couple of days of not working on it is a good thing, because every time I work on it, it just seems to get farther and farther away from being finished. I don't know how I'm doing that. It's a remarkable skill. I wonder if it's worth it. I don't know, but it's like, it's what's happening. I don't seem to have any control over it. So I think it's good that I'm letting it sit for a few days. And I'm happy because I'm not writing. Maybe that's why I'm happy. Yeah, and I'm going to the gym a lot. Like, I'm starting to get like strong. Oh my gosh, it's fun. And I don't like trip as much. I don't walk like a doddering old lady anymore. So I'm getting more, what's the word? You know, like I don't appear to be somebody on the throes of death anymore. You know, like maybe I got a few more years left in me, you know, when I walk around, because I'm not teetering on the brink of my own extinction because of lack of fitness and being overweight and all those things that just make you, you know, sluggish and uncomfortable and hurt your knees, and nothing works. And it, you know, getting up from a long day of writing or whatever, which involves sitting mostly, or stretching out on a bed, or somehow not moving for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, except for the parts where you get up to eat, because you got to do something to break the monotony. And it's that kind of work is very you know, the body needs something, and so fuel becomes a choice. Why am I talking about that? I don't know. I'm no nutritionist. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I did not mean to go there. I'm not trying to judge anyone just because I've managed to lose some weight, because I'll just gain it back when I stop this current thing. So I'm not judging. I'm not. But I have to be careful of that, because the happier I get, the more prosperous I get, the better looking I get, the more funny I get, the way people seem to want to be around me more, all those things that are happening that I'm not really used to, you know, they're still affecting me, right, in some way. Now I forgot my train of thought. Oh, it's okay. See, I can be okay with that, right? Because I'm developing the ability to be okay with myself, whatever the hell is going on. You know, it doesn't mean I'm going to condone my behavior. I may say, that's maybe not the wisest choice. Perhaps you should reflect on that. Is that really who you want to be? You know, kind of, I can go there. I can reevaluate. I can second guess, and I can tell myself, no, bad girl, or whatever, you know, but it doesn't mean that I have to feel guilty or worry about getting someone's approval, which is the normal operating mode. And so maybe that's why I'm happy, because I forget to think about that, because I'm too self-confident, which is, I think, to me, the biggest gift that I've gotten from magic. And I say that because of my prior levels of low self-confidence. So the fact that I have as much that I have, which is, you know, still not like other people. I'm not saying I'm more confident than the next guy. I'm just saying I'm more confident than I used to be. I've improved, right? My scale. We're all on one end of the long line of most intelligent, least intelligent, right? Whatever the category is. It's like was it Zealand? Navid Zealand. What was his first name? Anyhow, I forget the guy's name. Zealand, I think, is the last part. I think the first name starts with an N. And he would talk about that. You know, there's just pendulums. They swing from one end to the other, and then they somehow meet up again, and it all just goes in a circle. He doesn't say that, but now I'm thinking that's probably how it is, you know, like the pendulum that goes all the way around, but when it bounces up against another, that means you shift into another era or eon or whatever. Another 50,000 years goes by, and everything gets repeated in some way. And you know, they talk about that in a lot of fantasy books and a lot of different, it's a continuing theme, that the cycle of life is a repeating cycle. And even with different scenarios regarding, the status of everything. The same dramas keep playing out and out over and over again. The archetypical battles between quote unquote good and quote unquote evil, and people fighting for power, and people fighting for dominance, and people fighting for justice, and people fighting for freedom, and all these things. And it's just whoa and woof and wow, and it's too much to keep track of unless you're really into that.
I didn't really have a proper ending to my little rant last night, so I just wanted to say I am very happy, too happy, uncomfortably happy. Oh no, I guess I need to get used to this.
I give magic all the credit. Like and subscribe.